So many choices. Well, I guess I'll go to Sears. I mean, that's the all-American store, right? Okay, well, I suppose JCPenney is a close second. I could give that a try. I've been meaning to get back into working out. I guess I can hit up Gold's Gym and work on my... Wasn't really gonna go to the gym anyway. Chick-fil-A, on the other hand. But I mean, is there even a point? Okay, seriously, is there anything open here? What the fuck? Knoxville Center Mall opened back in 1984 and was originally called the East Town Mall. It had 964,000 square feet of retail space and 5 acres. Its predecessor, the West Town Mall, opened 12 years earlier and is still thriving. East Town, aka Knoxville Center, is dying so fast, it's as if someone sprayed it with Mall Raid and it's just been left twitching in the corner. Originally, it was Simon Property Group that built and operated the mall. In 2014, W.P. Glimcher acquired the mall, but Simon continued to manage it. And then in 2016, the mall was purchased by private investors Knoxville Partners LLC for just over $10 million. Here's a look at the center court of the mall, with the food court located on the second level. The jewelry store to the right is currently having a going out of business sale. So making a mall video is a little bit of a departure for me. There are of course creators who are masterful at producing mall videos, like Dan Bell, and Sal who does the Expedition Log series, to name a couple. I'll never be in a league with those guys, and I'm not trying to. But there's not a lot of info about this mall out there, and I saw an opportunity to fill a void. It may be the first and last mall video I ever make. Right now we're passing through Trout Court. More on that later. As you can see, most of the shops are closed. The Gilded Gown, coming up on the left, is still open. They also own the prom shop, which I imagine is only active when prom season is nearing. We're currently heading toward the vacant Sears store. The only other business open down this way, Dentacare, is at the very end on the right and surprisingly has been located there for many years. When I came down this way a second time, there was a woman in a wheelchair who started flirting with me, though I find it a little off-putting to be called beautiful. I got the impression that she was a sex worker or wanted something else from me, and I scurried off before I could find out what. There are 4 sets of escalators in the main corridor of the mall. Only half of them are running. Sears closed up shop in 2018, leaving Belk as the last department store still standing. For now. The closure of both Sears and JCPenney only a year apart was a 1-2 punch for the Knoxville Center Mall, which had already been struggling considerably. Here is a shot of what's left of the Sport Z store. Here we have Hollister's distinctive storefronts. Now, I'm assuming they're closed, but it's normally this dark inside, so who can tell? And Bath and Body Works, because Bath and Body Works. There's a quick shot coming up of the mall elevator, but we really need to talk about Belk for a minute. Because coincidentally, during the time it's taken me to edit this video, Belk has announced they are leaving Knoxville Center Mall in 3 months. This leaves 0 department store anchors at this mall. And just for the sake of history, this store began as Profits and transitioned to Belk in 2006. The East Town Mall had a renovation and name change in 1997. What I read has suggested that East Knoxville had a bad reputation, and that changing the name to Knoxville Center was merely an attempt to keep customers from associating the mall with the reputation of East Knoxville. Here's a look around the University of Tennessee Court. The floor shows the layout of the UT campus, although it's a little bit different now. The campus itself is only about 10 miles away from the mall. This space is in really rough shape. It had been a barber shop and is one of the more recent closures. The next space on the right was Hibbett Sports, and they've also just closed in the last month or two. Now we're approaching JCPenney, who closed their doors in 2017. To the left of the JCPenney was Stanton Optical, which has also recently departed. I got contacts from the store just last fall. LensCrafters is somehow still holding on. Payless, as we all know, went bankrupt earlier this year and closed all their American stores. The Dr. Paul L. Kelly Volunteer Academy has also relocated out of the mall. So here's a look at the current mall directory. It's already pretty sparse, but let's see how many of these stores even still exist. Yeah, that's really not looking good. Here we are at the food court, which they call Cade's Cookout. There are only 2 eateries left here, the Burger Stop, which we just saw, and Oriental Express, which I think was also a book I had to read in middle school. Here's Regal Cinema, which began life here as a UA7 theater before Regal took it over. Regal Cinema is regarded as an anchor and will now be the one and only anchor tenant at this mall by the end of the year. It was stated in an article from June of 2018 that Regal's lease is up at the end of 2019, so it'll be interesting to see what happens at that time. Just a note about the burger stop as we meander through the food court. It wasn't open when I was here filming, but this is still in fact open for business, and I recommend grabbing lunch there because the food is good and the guy who runs the place is super nice. I really didn't get a good shot of the dude at the jewelry kiosk sitting all the way to the right, but I just want to point out that I was at this mall twice about a week apart and he was slumped over on the side like this both times. Maybe I should have checked for a pulse. I believe this wall went up a couple years ago. I was here in summer or fall of 2016 and it was not there at the time. The original plan was that beyond the wall would be all medical offices. This wall only exists on the upper level, and to this day there is not one business open beyond it. Luckily they've kept the doors open so we can still have a look around because that might not always be the case. Knoxville Partners LLC purchased the mall in 2016 with the same intentions we often hear about dead malls. They want to turn it into a mixed-use facility with retail, business and medical offices, dining and entertainment, etc. In early 2017, Knoxville Partners changed the name of the mall from Knoxville Center, as it had been known since the reno in '97, back to its original name, the Easttown Mall. As you may have noticed, none of the signage at the mall reflects this name change. In June of 2018, a rep of Knoxville Partners said it could be 5 to 10 years before their vision for the mall is realized. Unfortunately, a year out from that statement, and 3 years out from their acquisition, the mall is still on the decline. It'll be interesting to see if they can turn things around. Some tenants have complained about their rent skyrocketing since Knoxville Partners took over. Knoxville Partners say higher rent is necessary to pay for future renovations. Now, I'm not a businessman, but it seems like purchasing a dead mall and then expecting to generate revenue from the smattering of tenants who are left to fund a heavy renovation doesn't seem like the best plan. And that smattering is getting smaller and smaller. In 2016, the mall had about 60 tenants. As of now, it's less than 20. A far cry from the 125 stores it could have at full occupancy. Here's a small peek into the upper level of the now vacant Sears. This space began as a service merchandise, and then became a gym called the Rush Fitness Complex. Gold's Gym took over the space, and then, for a very short time most recently, it was Next Level Knoxville, an esports venue, whatever that is. This is the interior of Next Level, which only remained at the mall for a few months. This is one of two rear entrances, which are both located on the upper level. This entrance is now closed to the public. The other one is near Regal Cinema and remains open. Structurally, the building doesn't seem too bad, but I don't know what's happening with the floor here. Also, that storefront is super ugly. So as I mentioned earlier, this is Trout Court. Fishing isn't really my thing, but if fake fish and stupidly giant fishing lures excite you, then this is your jam. I guess I shouldn't talk too much shit about it though, since it's one of the few places in the mall that there actually is something. Here's a look down at the children's play area. From what I could tell from old photos, it seems like this used to be in front of Belk. It's pretty obvious this used to be the entrance to Dillard's.
The fragrance for treasured moments.
This space began as Miller's and then became Hess, and ultimately Dillard's, which closed in 2008, and this anchor space has been vacant ever since. Dillard's actually still owns the property. This brings us to the end of our tour of Knoxville Center, which could definitely benefit from some rejuvenation. I hope you've enjoyed the video I made of this mall. If there's anything you'd like to share about the mall, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks for watching.